Hi, today I want to talk about phosphorus. And it's really interesting because out of all the minerals, phosphorus probably does more work than all of them. And what's interesting is that you don't see a lot of it in supplements, and the simple reason is you get so much of it in your diet, assuming you're eating veggies and fruits and greens. You get a lot of phosphorus already coming in. And so we don't put a lot in formulas because of the universal teaching. And actually there's two that I want to share with you. One is excess leads to rejection. And it doesn't matter what it is. You could drink too much water and end up drowning some of your cells. You could eat too much chocolate, you're a chocoholic today, and then 3 years from now you're allergic to chocolate because you've overloaded the body, overwhelmed the body's ability to deal with it. Now it's become an alien substance, one that the body can't handle. And that's the way the body works. That's why the other universal teaching, everything in moderation. And if you live a moderate life on every single level, you'll be a much happier, healthier, and to some degree wealthier person. And again, wealth there is a concept. So as I think it was Confucius or Buddha, and both may have said something, as well as Jesus said something about money. If you can live and be content on what you have, that's true wealth. And Jesus said something to the effect that it's easier for a camel to get into heaven than it will be for a rich man. Why a rich man? Because they're so caught up in the money, in the material plane, that they lose sight of their spiritual essence and their spiritual purpose. Be that as it may, phosphorus, which is what we're talking about, like I said, works more than any other mineral. It helps to break down fats and protein and carbohydrates. And in that breakdown process, it's rebuilding material to help for body structures. Which takes me to the food that you eat. Food will do two things for you: build you up or break you down. So look at your diet, examining what it is that you're consuming that is breaking you down. What's building you up is good for you. And what builds you up more than breaks you down is clean food. That's why I always stress organic as much as humanly possible. Okay? Because the chemicals are what break you down. Pure and simple. They corrupt cells. That lays the foundation for diseasing. Phosphorus is also perfect, or helps with the blood. It helps with the nerves. It's actually, on some levels, a transporter of fatty substances, fats, which are essential for your body. Go back to essential fatty acids. They do so much. And phosphorus is a good transporter. That's why you have phospholipids, which is part of lecithin. And lecithin, what does that do? Breaks down cholesterol, breaks down fats that may not be healthy for you, so that you can, again, through a process of moderation, get rid of some of those negative fats, the trans fats, hydrogenated fats, saturated fats. All of those are detrimental to the body. And phosphorus, like potassium, like calcium, help to keep the blood in a balanced state. And your blood should be slightly alkaline, because too much alkalinity, and I don't remember if I covered that in the phosphorus or the potassium thing, but too much alkalinity is just as bad as too much acidity in the blood. Phosphorus symbolically represents courage. And maybe that's why there's so much of it in our food, and it does so much in our bodies, because life takes courage. It takes courage to deal with the things you need to deal with. It takes courage to stand up to those forces that come from within as well as without, that seek to block you from moving forward in your life. And the real important journey is not so much how much you make, but it's how good of a human being you are. Because the purpose of life, from a different point of view, is to go within and find the kingdom within. It's also this, which is in Matthew, which is all about finding that narrow way that leads to life. Now, there are many people, maybe more than we care to count, who believe that they, because of their religious conviction, they feel that they are on the path and everybody else is not. Unfortunately, they are really more on the first part of this teaching, the broad and easy way, which does not lead within, because that narrow path within is a rocky road, because it's an inward journey. It's about understanding who you are, because at the center of you, you have your spiritual self covered by your emotional self. So even though you're receiving directives from God and how to be a good spiritual human being, your emotions corrupt those directives so that you become the person that people think you should be, and you become the person who you think you should be. Certainly from a spiritual point of view, you may become much more religious. Well, religion is not necessarily an indication of spirituality. Religion, from a different point of view, separates us one from the other. It's not a harmonizing philosophy, way of living. Look at what's going on in our country. We have so much hate and anger, and yet Jesus taught to love one another. And everybody's professing to be Christian, a white Christian nation. Well, that would be a nation full of acceptance, full of love, full of understanding. We'd be taking care of the homeless. We'd be taking care of the military. We'd be taking care of our neighbors. And we don't. We're not who we say we are. Be who you think you should be. Let me rephrase that. Be the person you want to be. You know, in Revelation it says you have a new name written on a white stone, and only you will know it. And white is spirituality. A stone is your foundation. It could be also a blockage. You know, you could build a wall out of stone. That locks you in. That's not what it means. It means to find your true self within and let that manifest, and that will be your new identity, your new person, your new name. Anyway, you already have a lot of phosphorus in your body, which means you also have a lot of courage. Utilize it. Build on it. Look within and strengthen that courage to go out and do battle with those forces that work against you. Some of them are coming from out there. A lot of them are coming from in here. Anyway, I know, hard, it's you know, what can I say? There's a lot to accept. There's a lot to understand in order to grow. At any rate, thanks for stopping by, taking the time. Hopefully, I've shared some information with you that will build on your courage and allow you to go out there from a position of personal power and quiet strength. Take care. God bless. It always is. You just have to be attuned to it. Take care.